Hello, my name's William Pissendrig and today I'm going to give you a quick demonstration on how to ride and lead a horse on the road correctly and safely. Riding and leading is a great way of exercising your horses when you're short of time, especially at this time of year when days are short and the nights are drawing in. It just means that you can get things done much quicker but ensure that your horse has been exercised. There are a few things to consider when riding and leading. The first would definitely be the horses you'll be using with each other. So ideally they want to be field companions or at the very least able to be tied up with each other, because the last thing you want is fighting, kicking, biting. It's just not good. So they need to be able to get on with each other. The second thing you need to consider is the horse you're going to lead off safe on the road on its own? So is it silly? Can it jump around a bit? Is it maybe leery of traffic? If so, that doesn't really make it an ideal candidate to lead off, as you'll now be riding with one hand rather than two. So you need a horse that is easily controllable and safe. So to ride and lead your horse safely, you need to lead the horse off your left side. That way it is in between you and the fence line. The reason you do this is so that if the lead horse spooks and goes to swing its quarters out, it can't, as you and the horse you're riding act as a barrier. The only thing you've got to consider is you would normally lead your horse off the right side. So sometimes the horse you're leading can get a bit confused at first. So it's always important before heading off on the road to practice leading off the left so that it's used to it. So now I've explained the three key points, I'm now going to show you how to attach the lead rope. Now, you would never lead with reins, because that way it's always pulling on the horse's mouth and it's not very comfortable at all. You should always lead with a bridle. However, if you're leading a young horse, sometimes the pressure on the bit can be a little much for them, so leading in a head collar may be wise to begin with. So I like to use a traditional lead rope. This has a leather buckle and it's also flat. So rather than one of the modern lead ropes which is twisted, this is flat, so it just means you've got less in your hand. It's less clumpy. It's also slightly longer. It's seen better days. But with it being longer, it also means you've got a little bit more leverage. So if the horse does go to spook, you're not exactly going to be pulled back straight away, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to attach it now. Like I said earlier about the reins, how it pulls on the bit, you don't want to be just attaching the lead rope to the bit here, because as you can see, all that's going to do is just pull on his mouth and not be very comfortable at all. So what you do is you send the lead rope through the bit and then you attach it to the other side of the bit. Now this is lovely and flat. This is why I like to use it, because you can see it lies nice and flat on his jaw. I attach it now. And then as you can see now, it's not pulling on him at all, is it? So it's a lot more comfortable. Good boy. Right, so as you can see, I'm going to be using Alf to ride and Scully to lead. The tack for Alf is exactly the same as it would be normally. As you'll see, they all have brushing boots on each leg. I like to do that because as you're quite close, if there was ever a spook or anything, it just protects them in case they catch one another. Good boy. So I'm now going to show you how to mount safely when leading a horse. Now, it's normally quite nice if you have a helper that can just pass you the lead horse, but if you don't have one, then I'm going to show you how to do it. So before mounting, it's always important to make sure your stirrups are correct and your girth is tight. The last thing you want to do is when you get on is trying to alter girth stirrups when you're already one hand short holding a horse. So always make sure that's sorted and then we can get on. You'll see my mounting blocks in the middle of the yard. That's because if you have it against the fence line like that mounting block, you'll see the lead horse can't get round. So when you get on, it's going to be a bit of a fiddle, rather than if you have it in the middle, you can have the lead horse on one side and the horse you're riding on the other. Good boy. So we're going to come round. We're going to allow plenty of space. Whoa. Alf's going to stand there nicely. Reins in the left hand, on, and then off we go. For dismounting, it's quite similar to mounting. You want to be in the middle of the yard, and you also want to try and allow plenty of space between you, just so you don't get crushed when you get off. Okay, so I'm going to move into the middle. I'm going to move Scully over there. Whoa, over. Boy. So I've got some nice space there. I'm going to put my reins into my left hand, down, then I've got control. Okay, so we're on. Now, before we go out onto the road, these two are great, they've done it many times, but if we're on a young horse or inexperienced horses that haven't done it before, it's important to practice in an enclosed area. Now, I'm lucky I've got an arena here. A field is absolutely fine, but it's just safer to be on the safe side to see how your horses are going to react, because every horse is an individual and they may have different reactions. So all we're going to do, walk around. It's important the horse we're leading is always at our knee, so we don't want it to get ahead of us, so they stay here. We're just going to practice turning. See if the horse we're leading is happy to turn this way, and then if we're happy to turn around the other way. And I just quite like to do some figure of eights, really. So we're going to turn left. We're now going to turn right. And you can see I've only got one hand, so that's why I'm saying it's very important that the horse you're riding is safe and sensible and not going to be silly, because we need ultimate control. And as you can see, these two are very happy to turn left and right. They get on well with each other, they're not trying to kick and bite. And all around they seem quite happy. So I'm thinking, we're happy in walk, I may just have a little trot, see how they react to that. So we're just going to walk around this corner, again keeping the lead horse, the horse we're leading, at our knee. And then we're just going to ask for trot. As you can see, more than happy. Scully's staying at my knee. They aren't rushing, they're not fighting each other. It's all around quite pleasant. Boy, and whoa. Whoa. And it's good to practice our downward transitions as well, actually. Like we will on the road, we'll be walking, trotting, trotting, walking. So we want the horse we're leading to know it stays at our knee and doesn't try and get ahead or get far or be dragged behind. So as you can see, these two are brilliant, they know the job, they're very, very good, but a horse that's being introduced to it for the first time, that's being led, sometimes can either get ahead of the horse, or what you really don't want is when they drag behind and you're saying, come on, let's go, okay? So when they are a bit like that, it's quite good to practice in the enclosed area with one of the pressure head collars that you can get. So when the horse pulls, it puts a bit of pressure on the nose, but then when the horse releases and comes forward, you release the pressure and they realise, oh, okay, that's what you want. And then they eventually realise that being at the knee is the right place. The same goes for if the horse is getting too ahead of you. You put a bit of pressure on, but then the horse comes back, you release the pressure, the horse gets it into its head, okay, that's where we need to be. So you'll see also I've got my high vis on. It's very important that we're noticed on the road, especially when you're leading 2 horses. Another thing to consider is the route you're taking. So you'll see here, I'm taking up 2 horse widths. Now, when you're riding by yourself, there's a lot more space to get into the side of the road to let cars pass. We don't have that option now, so it's important to make sure the roads you're going to be using are wide enough to allow a car to come past with plenty of space. That being said, I think it's now time to head off onto the road. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and if you want to, give it a share. Thank you.